Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. If your adult child isn't in contact right now, you might not be prepared to talk to her if she calls out of the blue, especially if it's been a long time since you last spoke. But if you live in the same city, chances are you could come into contact with her. Will you know what to do if and when that happens? Will you be able to avoid any pitfalls that could lead to a renewed estrangement? Even if your child lives on the other side of the world, you can't be certain he won't suddenly either turn up on your doorstep or call you out of the blue. I've heard many estranged parents say that they're nervous to talk to their child because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to mess up what might be their only opportunity in a long while. Some parents have a good idea of some of the dynamics that created the trouble. Others feel clueless and are afraid to make a move since anything they do could be quote-unquote wrong. Even if it seems the chances are slim for unexpected contact, what's the harm in being prepared? You'll be glad you had some tools if the unexpected does actually happen. Here are 4 steps you can take today to make sure you're prepared for the unexpected. Step 1. Get clear on triggers. Think about any complaints your child has made in the past and make a note of his or her triggers in your relationship. Some examples would be criticizing, arguing, asking too many questions, and offering unsolicited advice. But once you know what your child's triggers are, don't just tell yourself, okay, I won't do those things. You can't plan to not do things. It's too hard for your brain to create a goal around not doing something. So instead, plan to do something else. Let me give you some examples. Instead of asking too many questions, plan mostly to listen and reflect. Or you might have in your pocket several little bits of news about yourself that might interest your child. Instead of talking politics, pick 2 to 3 other topics that you will stick to. Instead of offering advice, plan to validate your child's thoughts and feelings. Instead of disagreeing, plan to focus on finding points of agreement. What I'm suggesting is that you don't just avoid your child's triggers, that is, those things that make her annoyed or upset with you, but replace them with other behaviors that you can implement on purpose. Step 2. Plan to work without a script. You might be tempted to write down everything you want to say and even topics you want to avoid. But if you write all that down, that's a one-sided conversation you're having in your own mind. When go time happens, having a script in your mind will only be a distraction. It might even cause you to miss important conversational cues from your child. Step 3. Practice staying present. If your child contacts you out of the blue or you run into him suddenly in a public place, you might find yourself gripped with anxiety, like, oh my goodness, this is my big chance, I better not blow it, or don't talk about such and such, don't talk about such and such. When you're having these kinds of thoughts and feelings, you're not really present in the here and now. You're not being present with your child. He may perceive you as being standoffish or self-absorbed instead of the loving, welcoming presence you want to be. There's no way you're going to be able to be present when confronted with unexpected contact unless you regularly practice bringing yourself into the moment during ordinary conversations. If you can't be present for a conversation with your accountant, you certainly won't be present for unexpected contact with your estranged child. So practice. What does this look like? It looks like consciously paying attention during every conversation you have to things like, what is the other person saying? What emotions are they expressing even if they're not talking about their feelings? Practice being aware of the other person, their words, their behavior, and also your surroundings. When you find your mind wandering back to yourself, your thoughts, feelings, or how you're behaving, bring your concentration back to the other person or your surroundings. Practice focusing outside yourself at first during conversations with others. Once you get good at choosing your focus, you can add in awareness of your own body and even your feelings. Practice viewing these objectively. Just notice them without panic or judgment. If you can choose your focus like this during conversations with others, you'll have more hope of staying more or less present when your child reappears all of a sudden. Step 4. Adopt a mantra. A mantra is a single word or short phrase that you can use as a kind of anchor for your focus when your mind is scattered, anxious, or feels out of control. It's often used in meditation as a mindfulness aid. For our purposes, you'll want to choose a word or phrase whose energy you'd like to embody or send out to those around you, such as loving kindness, peace, humility, or receptivity. When you go into a challenging social situation, concentrate on your mantra and let yourself absorb and reflect its meaning. Don't say the word out loud. Let it just reside inside of you, silently informing your side of any conversation you engage in. Practice using your mantra like this in ordinary, everyday conversation before using it in a more difficult situation. It can take the pressure off because as long as you're holding on to your mantra, you don't need to worry about saying exactly the right thing. All you need to do is be the mantra and let it guide you. So those are 4 steps you can take today to feel more prepared for any unexpected contact with your estranged adult child. 1. Get clear on your child's triggers and replace them with other behaviors. 2. Work without a script. 3. Practice staying present. And 4. Adopt a mantra. I hope you won't just let these wash over you and move on to something else. This podcast can give you tools for reconnection, but only you can do the work of putting them to use in your life. So practice at least one of them today. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.